everybody, and finally welcome back to another MCU review. Because of the coronavirus, there hasn't been anything in the MCU for over a year now. So, yeah, I'm excited to finally jump back in to see what they've got going on. I know the order of releases has been changed slightly, so we would have been getting the WandaVision after a couple of different MCU things, but now it's the start of Phase 4, I guess. I don't know what it's called. It's a little up in the air right now, but let's talk about it. So here we have WandaVision, which is the first Disney Plus MCU show. It released 9 episodes from January 15th through March 5th, 2021. Directed by Matt Shakman. Stars Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany. And up until the finale, which I'll talk about at the end, it is very clearly the most unique thing in the MCU. Because this is a show and I've never really reviewed TV shows before, I do jump around between things, and I will be doing that here, but I have to break it down a little bit more. So first, let's talk about the first 3 episodes of the show. So the first 3 episodes, they leave you kind of in the dark, right? You know, why are the Avengers in a sitcom? This isn't just a sitcom with the Avengers. There's something going on here. This can be seen through the ends of the episodes where it's like, oh, who's watching through a TV, or who's that beekeeper that never gets resolved throughout the show, and who's this Geraldine person, as well as the commercials giving hints as to something strange going on. For example, the first commercial shows the toaster made by Stark Industries, which definitely reminded me of the bomb that crashes in the Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch's home when they were children, which actually is seen in a flashback in a later episode, so I'm glad I picked up on that with my amazing knowledge of the MCU, you know? So the first 3 episodes are kind of slow. I guess why people don't really like them that much. I think they were really good because they do perfectly capture that sitcom stuff. Like, I've seen the sitcoms that they're sort of parodying and taking inspiration from, and they do a good job of emulating that. But with episode 4, this is where the show takes a turn into the more sort of like standard MCU stuff. So Geraldine gets kicked out of Westview by Wanda, and we get to see sort of some of the events that led up to this point. So what this show does, it takes characters from other stuff and makes them important here. Side characters, I mean, from other stuff. So you have the little girl from Captain Marvel, the FBI agent from Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Darcy, the comic relief from the first 2 Thor movies, and you somehow make them a trio and actually work here. Using those minor characters and actually taking minor characters who have nothing to do with each other from all different parts of the MCU and bringing them together to make it work was a very good thing that this show does. Episodes 5 and 6 feature Evan Peters as Quicksilver, who everybody knew was in the show because of leaked set photos. Determined that Evan Peters would be in it. So yeah, Evan Peters is here as Quicksilver. It's very clear from the get-go that something's wrong because, well, that's not the guy who played Quicksilver in the MCU. He played Quicksilver in the X-Men movies. So, you know, are we doing multiverse stuff? I mean, it ties into the movie Multiverse of Madness. You have Evan Peters, who played Quicksilver in a different universe. Well, not really, but I'll talk about that when I get to the finale. Episode 7, at the end, is revealed that Agnes, who's the nosy neighbor, is actually Agatha Harkness. Again, another twist that everybody saw coming. I don't mean these to be, like, bad things against the show. I just mean that every time they had a twist, the audience basically knew beforehand. It's not necessarily bad, it's just, it makes, I guess, the twists kind of indifferent to the audience. They're not necessarily bad twists. It's just, if you already know these characters, you know a lot of the things that this show is going to do, and very easily predict things. Episode 8 is similar to episode 4, and we get to see, you know, many different events from Wanda's life. And it's probably my favorite episode. We get to really see why she, you know, sort of broke down, enslaved this entire town to live in her fake sitcom world. Episode 7, I forgot to mention this. At the end, when it's revealed that Agnes is Agatha, it says Agatha all along. There's like a musical number there. Which doesn't really make any sense because it was Wanda all along. It wasn't Agatha. She didn't really do anything. I mean, she did some stuff, but she's mostly there to just So they had to just take Wanda's powers and things like that. And that brings us to the final episode, episode 9, which I actually believe is the worst episode of the show. So there's a big talking point in, with WandaVision now that a lot of people don't like the finale because their fan theories didn't come true. And I think a lot of the fan theories were dumb. But this show basically begs you to make fan theories. It's literally a show filled with mystery, filled with things that are kind of leading you on. For example, Monica talks about an aerospace engineer that she knows would love this. And the aerospace engineer did show up. Now, I'm not expecting someone like Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, to just show up in the show out of nowhere. But if the aerospace engineer was in the show, they must have been so minor that completely unmemorable. Especially when that line in the episode clearly indicates that this person is someone. Especially when the actors are hyping it up too. Paul Bettany also said that there's an actor that he really wanted to work with. Now, I mean, I know he was joking around, but like when you say that, you clearly are like leading the fans on to thinking that something big was going to happen. Maybe Doctor Strange would show up, which, that's kind of a little bit out there, but not really when you consider that Wanda has literally taken over an entire town of people with magic, and the magic dude just doesn't even show up, who's supposed to be in charge of all of this. It's kind of weird that he's not there. So the big COVID virus thing, kind of actually changed the finale quite a bit. A lot of things had to be trimmed, like Monica's role in the finale. She gets powers, by the way, I forgot to mention that, like she does in the comics, but she doesn't really do anything in the finale. Darcy's there for one line in the finale. She does one thing and then just disappears from the show. Hayward is the villain of the show, I guess. At least from the sword side of things. So he wants to get Vision. That's why he's there. That's the only reason he's here with Westview thing, is he wants to get Vision. But then it's revealed that he actually has Vision, who is now the White Vision, who is an emotionless version of Vision. Same memories and all that, but just no emotions. At this point, he doesn't have those emotions, though. So Hayward already has Vision. Don't know why he's trying to go in there to stop Wanda if the only reason he was there was to get Vision. It's weird because then you have, White Vision goes in there to destroy Wanda and destroy Vision. And then fake Vision, who's living inside of the fake reality that Wanda's created. I'm assuming you've watched the show because I'm kind of skipping over important details of how things happen, but the fake Vision gives White Vision the memories back, and then he just leaves. That's it. It's like the show is about Wanda moving on and learning to live with grief, and can't even fully commit to Vision dying. You just have him, okay, Vision's alive, and then he leaves. So when that fake Vision dies, it doesn't really feel like anything because Vision is technically still out there. I mean, White Vision is just as much as Vision as the fake Vision was. Just sort of the opposite. He has the memories but not the emotions. Same way Vision had the emotions but not the memories. Wanda eventually has to free the people from the town. She, gives up her fake reality, gives up her fake children and all that. But then in the after credits scene, when she has the Darkhold, which is this magical book that Agatha Harkness had, she can hear her children's voices somewhere out in some interdimensional multiverse thing. So she didn't even have to move on from her kids, because her kids are still out there too. Wanda literally enslaved an entire town of people, but then Monica's like, if I were you, I probably would have done the same thing, and she just leaves. It's almost like the show didn't want to fully commit to anything in the end. It's like, none of the sword people got a good conclusion. They didn't commit to Wanda being like a villain. She's just kind of like enslaves a whole town of people. She did it unknowingly at first, because she was in such a state of grief that she just unleashed a bunch of magic, which enslaved the people. But then she kept going with it. So she just leaves. They kind of treat her like she's a hero at the end, but even though she clearly isn't. She moves on from Vision and her kids, but then they're still out there somewhere in some form. So she didn't really have to give up anything. And then you have Quicksilver, who's actually Ralph Bohner. That's his real name. The director, Matt Shakman, was inspired by the Iron Man 3 Mandarin twist. The worst part of one of the worst movies in the MCU. I'm not even going to talk about Ralph Bohner. That whole thing was clearly meant to get people to think that was Evan Peters' Quicksilver from the X-Men movies. or just at least Quicksilver from another dimension. Maybe he was mind controlled or something. I'm kind of rambling now, but you just get my point. The show didn't really, it didn't conclude in a satisfying way. That's just how I feel. So yeah, I did skip around about a bunch of stuff. The music, the music's kind of generic, but I think it captures the superhero and the sitcom stuff, and special effects are actually really good for it being a show. The editing and cinematography is interesting because it does perfectly capture the sitcom stuff, especially when it contrasts to the more standard MCU things. Before I pass out from talking so much and just constantly rambling, the show does a really good job with what it does. It perfectly balances the sitcom and the superhero, the magical and the sci-fi, and makes a really good show. But with its finale, I just didn't think it was that good. It didn't really conclude in a satisfying way. I don't think that brings down the whole show. The finale is the most important episode because that's really where you're trying to say something. And that's where I feel like it didn't really say anything. It said a lot of conflicting messages that other episodes did better. And just overall wasn't a very good finale. My score for this is great. Again, it did a lot of stuff good. I just think a lot of things didn't really get a proper, satisfying conclusion in the finale. A lot of things just kind of left, really just didn't really fully commit to things that I think it could have. Like Wanda's, did a lot of bad things, but still kind of treated like a hero. Vision technically still alive, her kid's technically still out there. A lot of the things with Sword just didn't really get resolved. Darcy's there for like a second. Jimmy Blue's barely in it. Monica's role got trimmed so much. They tried to copy the Mandarin twist from Iron Man 3, which is terrible. But other than that, really good show. Really good start to the MCU, Disney Plus stuff. And I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. So yeah, I give it my score great. I think it was good. If you have similar opinions or whatever, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Again, my point is, look, the fan theory stuff, you can't judge a show because fan theories didn't come true. At the same time with this show, you can't blame anyone for making fan theories. Some of them were outrageous, but fan theories such as, Evan Peters being Quicksilver from the X-Men universe, you can't blame anyone for that. It's literally the same actor. Whatever. You know what I mean. It's a good show. This is what I feel. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.